Federal agents raided P. Diddy's houses yesterday, and the comments that I read are like, that guy's screwed. Well, he does have one way out. You'll remember that P. Diddy got famous back in the 1990s for producing Notorious B.I.G.'s records. Well, that success probably went to his head because in the last year, P. Diddy's been sued like 9 times for SA and even murder. Now, the Department of Homeland Security has raided his houses in Miami and Los Angeles trying to find evidence that he's the head of a people trafficking ring. An arrest is pending, but the real question is, what the heck is he doing right now? And a few things in my opinion. First thing is he's having his lawyers scrutinize the search warrants, looking for evidence of false statements in the affidavits. If they find them, they can move to suppress all the evidence. Second, he's moving his money offshore. If he can put his money in a legal trust offshore, the IRS or the feds can't touch it. Third, I predict that Diddy is going to rehab for any mental health or substance abuse issues. That's going to be a mitigating factor in sentencing. Yeah, Diddy's probably going to.
So people are worried that Diddy's still going to find a way out of all this nonsense.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So in you made a video and you basically said, like, if it was Jennifer Lopez, he would have been locked up if he would have been caught on camera beating her. What did you mean by that? Like,
I meant what I said. That if you're a non-Black female, you will get police response and public support way quicker than you will if you are a Black woman. We are depicted in such a way that people think we deserve to be smacked around, that we got slick mouths, that we provoke men, and that it goes all down the line. If a Black child...
Let me ask this though real quick. Even if the statute of limitations were over, do you think that he still would be locked up though?
What do you mean back then?
If he had put his hands on a white woman, which he probably may have, I don't know. But if he'd have put his hands on a white woman and any kind of tape got visualized, whether it ever got released or not, if the person in the security room saw that tape, they would have probably reacted differently than they would a Black woman being drugged around the corner. And I don't care what people focus on the wrong stuff. They're like, well, she's just a quarter, and who cares? That's not the issue. The issue is that this is a violation that should have never occurred. Also, correction. Diddy did not pay the Intercontinental Hotel for the footage. He paid some loser in the control room $50,000 for that footage. And the loser in the control room probably made a copy before he gave it to Diddy. I know I would have.
Well, look now, I think you make a good argument because there's no in hell a tape of a white woman get beat up or J-Lo would be sold for as cheaply as $50,000, but that's the price they put on Cassie. But if it was J-Lo, $1 million or your career is ruined. I think I understand what you're saying, and I think people can take your comments out of context from social media. So thank you for,
Lunel,
yeah, they do, but social media, like my issue these days is people screen grabbing stuff, making a show out of what you say and using terrible clickbait to bait people in when, nothing I have said is different than anything I'm going to say here. And I stand on business by what I said. Black women are unprotected. Black women are unbelieved. Black children, the whole thing. You snatch up a little blue-eyed, blonde-haired white girl, there's going to be an Amber Alert. You snatch up 20 Black kids, and you may not hear nothing.
I totally agree with you, Lunel. So let me ask you this. I mean, clearly from my commentary here tonight, I make no qualms about it. I think his apology was bullcrap. What are your thoughts? Do you think his apology, because his apology never addressed who he hurt?
Well, first of all, legally, Diddy cannot say Cassie's name.
Okay.
And legally, Cassie cannot say his name. This is in the court documents.
Got it.
But he still, just like I referenced a singer, he still could have addressed to my victim, I'm sorry.
Right.
But there is no sorry. People say, oh, I made a mistake. No, accidentally slipping down the steps is a mistake. Accidentally opening a cabinet and hitting somebody in the head is a mistake. What we saw was not a mistake. It was not an error.
Right.
It was deliberate. It wasn't the first time. He wasn't sorry. He's still not sorry. He is a narcissist. And it's a shame that we have gotten duped into love, Combs, BS, because he's really, as I drew you know how much crap I caught for drawing devil horns on Diddy 10 months ago? I knew what was going on 10 months ago. I talked to people that I'll never reveal on social media. And I've heard some things and I've read some things. And that's why I drew the devil horns on him. And I was assisted in doing that. And I stand by what I did.
Now, there ain't no chance of this monster being allowed to roam freely after everything has come out.
She wanted some money. Obviously, she didn't want Puffy to go to jail. Why all y'all wishing jail on Puffy? Not one time did that girl call the police on P. Diddy, Sean Combs, Brother Love. Not one time. I know a lot of relationships. All they do is fight and fuck. Fucking fight. Sometimes, man, I know, man, nigga be in a relationship so long, man, nigga start a good fight so he can do some good fucking. And after nigga get tired of good fucking, what a nigga go back to doing? Some good fighting. So that's a lot of toxic relationship. They rap about it in the song. She is Sexy Red, Glow Riddle, them talk about them toxic relationship where, you know, you beat him, he beat you, all that kind of shit. So all I'm saying is, nigga, you ain't never had $1 billion. Ain't no telling how I might treat my bitch if I get $1 billion. Nigga, please. Fuck are you talking about? Nigga, you broke and be wanting to kick your bitch in the ass. So imagine $1 billion nigga. Man, nigga do what the fuck he want to do with $1 billion. Hell is y'all talking about, man? Fuck it, man, please. And then, shit, they were getting high together. Nigga, that was dope fiend. That's the dope fiend relationship. Man, they blowing cocaine, smoking weed, Ciroc drinking, pissing on one another. So don't act like she wasn't down with the freaking. She was down with the freaking too. Nigga, she was, man, that hoe was taking dicks. Man, he wasn't making her do that. Nigga, that shit was fun for her too. It just wasn't fun when the coin flipped. It's always two sides of the coin now. She wasn't complaining about the fun part. So no, bitch, the rain falls on the just too. Just like the sun shines on the unjust. And I'm just saying, $1 billion, Puffy. I wouldn't apologize to now some bitch with $1 billion. I wouldn't give a damn. Nigga, I know niggas will whoop a hoe, jump on her daddy, beat up her brother, kill her uncle, and nigga slap her mama if her mama with the shit too. I know some niggas like that. And we all got a partner too that whoop his hoe, and his woman, and his girl. Nigga, fuck are you talking about? Stop acting like y'all don't know no nigga that whoop hoes. I know several niggas that whoop bitches. And don't say nothing to them about it.
In fact, some people don't even think that he should go to jail at the end of the day.
Since November, you'll probably remember that Combs has been named in 8 civil lawsuits, 7 directly accusing him of sexual assault. CNN's Elizabeth Wagmeister has all of this new reporting for us. Elizabeth, what more are you learning?
Good morning, Kate. So this is obviously the biggest escalation since those March raids on Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami. We are now hearing that federal investigators are preparing to possibly bring witnesses in front of a federal grand jury in New York City. What we have heard is that possible witnesses have been notified that they could be called to testify. Now, sources do caution that investigators are still in the process of gathering information. In fact, they are still calling in new witnesses, and they have called in some witnesses multiple times. We also hear that the majority of the accusers who have filed these civil lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs have been brought in for questioning, and again, some of them being called in numerous times. We hear that many are cooperating and even handing over evidence that they feel could be relevant into this federal probe. Now, a spokesperson for Homeland Security did not respond to our request for comment about the presence of a grand jury, but they did confirm that this investigation is presently ongoing.
And Elizabeth, what are you learning about the evidence that investigators could be reviewing here?
So, as I mentioned, those federal raids that were conducted on his homes back in March, obviously a lot of people wondering what was seized. Well, we are learning now that federal investigators are in possession of video footage that was taken inside of Combs's residence. We hear that these investigators have been contacting individuals that they have seen on this footage. One person, in addition to the accusers who have filed these civil suits, is a male sex worker. That is what a source tells me, and that they have been brought in for questioning through these federal investigators. Now, when the raids first happened, we had a law enforcement source tell us at CNN that the investigation was largely based in sex trafficking, which is what HSI specializes in. Now we are hearing that that scope has been widened and that investigators are really looking into all of these claims put forth in these civil lawsuits. That would include not just sex trafficking, but also money laundering and illegal drugs. I have a source who tells me, quote, "This is much bigger than just these lawsuits."
Sounds like much more to come. Elizabeth, thank you very much for your continued great reporting on this. Still ahead.
There have been allegations that he was drugging young women, so that there was, which certainly implies that it was rape that had taken place at some point. But I think what HSI is probably looking at is the interstate aspects of it. If there was any online activity that could have taken place, and that's usually where HSI would have a jurisdictional interest. Homeland Security investigations being part of the Department of Homeland Security, looking at the interstate side, mostly online, and whatever took place across state lines. And of course, he travels all over the place, so I'm sure they're looking at him potentially transporting women around the country, and whether that was tied to a larger criminal activity.
Yeah, definitely Homeland Security involved in any interstate, as you mentioned, and international criminal activity here. So what exactly do you think everyone is looking for at this point? We saw such a large number of law enforcement make entry.
Well, it's a combination of both local and federal. And from what I understand, the local law enforcement has the specific lead at each one of these locations, with the federal federal investigators coming in with them in concert. What they're probably looking for is any evidence that they can gather, certainly any images, pictures, video, anything online. I've no doubt that they're going in and gathering up any electronic media, to include any laptops, any flash drives, anything that he might have that might support whatever allegations, whatever reasonable suspicion that they have that led to these search warrants. Just to get a search warrant like this requires a certain substantial legal barrier has to be, or legal argument or legal litmus test has to be met just to get them to sign off. Particularly knowing with somebody with means like this, that if they go into their home, they're going to be met with some very capable lawyers on the defendant's part to challenge what was ever done, and everything they do there is going to be challenged. So you can imagine, not only did they have to work with the district attorney and potentially assistant U.S. attorneys in arranging this, but they also are being very careful on how they're gathering any evidence, realizing that just about everything they do on site will potentially be challenged in court by his attorneys.
Absolutely. And speaking of his attorneys, we did reach out for comment. We have not yet heard back.
Yo, but or not, man, because the FBI wants Diddy gone for one thing or another.
Miss his daughter's graduation. He's going to miss the twins' prom, as he should. This man's name was Puffy because he used to get mad and huff and puff. And this is what we've been calling him. This man deserves to be in a kennel, not at a graduation. Let's chit chat. Word on the curb is that they don't got evidence of Mr. Papa Diddy Pop victimizing a male schmex worker, right? So I need Chance, Delilah, and Jesse to all get used to the fact that Daddy's gonna be in jail. Means that this, unfortunately for them, is the new normal. And I hope that this man set his kids down and was like, sorry, Daddy is a monster and his skeletons is jumping out the closet. Hate that this has to affect you. Feels like a good time to remind y'all that Chance and the twins, yeah, they're only 5 months apart. And I know you're like, what does that have to do with anything? I don't know. I think it just paints the picture that not only is this man a monster, but he's a fuckboy. Quincy, the son right next to Mr. Papa Diddy Pop, he's the one that really belongs to Al B. Shore, and he scrubbed his Instagram page of everything. Now, you know, Quincy be on his little music thing and his content creation, so I don't know that has anything to do with some sort of rollout. But again, there's no evidence of his stepdad. I'm very interested to see what comes of Hakeem Lyons. And I know you're like, Hakeem, yeah, his real name is Christian Combs, King Combs, whatever he liked to go by. But he seems like Mr. Papa Diddy Pop's protege, and I'm scared. So that Lil Rod lawsuit lays out a story that Andre Lyons, also known as Justin Combs, is the one that we really need to be afraid of.
So many of you talking about Diddy are full of shit because you're talking about what you would do to Diddy and how you don't appreciate him beating women. But there's men right there in your community who you know do it all the time, and you're letting them make it. You're not talking about them, and you ain't touched them. In fact, I know firsthand, 2 different men have hit me twice, and twice my own friends and people close to them tried to convince me that I should give them another chance. These are people who I thought cared about me. I don't deal with them anymore, and I don't deal with those men anymore. The difference between me and those women is I fight back. You don't get to hit me more than once. So they didn't win when it came to me. But I had people who I thought loved me, who I thought were my friends, tell me, oh, well, he only hit you once, right? Is that what you're talking about? Give him another chance. I'm sorry, you don't get another chance with Cherry Johnson, because Cherry motherfucking Johnson loves herself more than she loves anybody else besides from her child and her mother. So while you condemn these famous men, think about the men in your community. Think about the situations that you need to correct, or the women that you need to apologize to, because that's really what affects your life more than Diddy. Just saying. Just because you know them or you're friends with them doesn't mean they have the same relationship with you that they do the women who are romantically involved with them. Stop assuming that you know people. The truth is, you never know what another man, and when I say man, I mean man or woman, is capable of. Because you hit me, I'm going to beat your ass. And most of you are not going to think I'm capable of that. Ask the 2 who hit me how it turned out for them.
Now, it's a question of women's rights, and Diddy needs to be made into an example, according to some people.